back to the Erin Coupe podcast. Today, we're tackling a mindset that so many people get trapped in, working for the weekend. You know the drill. Monday rolls around and all you can think about is getting through the week, plowing through the meetings, the deadlines, the responsibilities, just to finally exhale when Friday night hits. But then the weekend flies by in a blur and suddenly it's Sunday night and that Monday dread creeps right back in. It's this constant cycle that just keeps you drained and on that hamster wheel of routine and feeling like you're just not in control of your time. I personally lived in this constant cycle of waiting for time to pass and then begrudgingly wanting it to slow down. In my early years working in finance, my entire week felt like a grind. My schedule was relentless. The hours were grueling. My time wasn't my own. And I thought that that was just the price of success. I would tell myself, just make it to the weekend. But what I didn't realize is that by constantly living for the next literal break, I was missing out on my actual life in the process. It caused a lot of stress and anxiety because my mind was always somewhere else, thinking about everything but the here and now. Today, we're going to shift that perspective. If you're finding yourself in this cycle, especially now with return to office mandates pulling even more time out of your day, I want to help you take back control. We're going to talk about how to create space for yourself every single day, how to cultivate true presence, and how to stop letting distractions and external pressures fragment your energy. Because when your energy is scattered, so is your ability to feel fulfilled and engaged and at peace. So let's start with this simple metaphor. Imagine your life is like a road trip. If you're so focused on getting to the destination, or in this case, the weekend, you don't even notice the scenery, the music, or the conversations that are taking place in your car along the way. You just stay focused on driving and hoping that you're going to get to the place safely. But what happens when you finally get there? You barely have time to enjoy it before you're back on the road once again. You see, high performers in particular are notorious for this. We push, we hustle, we pack our schedules, and we tell ourselves that we'll rest later. I'll take a break later. I'll rest later. I'll give myself what I need later. I'll meet my own needs later. But the hard truth is that later never comes if you don't intentionally create it. Beyond that, we let so many distractions dilute our focus. We try to be everywhere, do everything, and please everyone, only to find ourselves so exhausted and disconnected from what actually matters to us. When your attention is constantly pulled in so many different directions by emails, social media, work pressures, family obligations, the friends you want to see, you become a fragmented version of yourself. And the more fragmented you are, the harder it is to feel whole. And the harder it is to feel whole, the more that spark inside of you becomes dim. Your light, your flame, it goes out. And feeling disconnected from yourself, that is a surefire way to burnout. So now I want to layer in the new challenge that many people are facing, which is less personal time. With return to office, commuting is back in the mix. This is the reality that we now live in again. And so maybe you're losing an hour or two each day just in transporting yourself to and from work. And if you're already in that work to survive mindset, this can feel like an even bigger drain having to commute again. So here's the shift for that one. Instead of looking at this as time that is taken away from you, let's talk about how you can intentionally create time for yourself. Because the truth is, even in a structured corporate environment, you still have the power to shape your experience. This is not kindergarten. You're a grown adult. So it starts with protecting your presence. Presence isn't just about being physically somewhere. It's about where your energy is focused. If you're physically at work, but mentally elsewhere, you're not truly there. Your performance will show it. And if you're physically at home, but you're still answering emails. And in your mind, you're not present because you're not truly in the moment with your family or whatever relationships you have at home. You're not truly there. For years, I would be home by 5 p.m. when my kids were young and the nanny was off for the day. But my mind was wrapped up in worries and tending to my phone with every ding. My husband, Craig, would be physically home, but mentally checked out due to the nature of what was formerly a commission only job. And this happens more often than we'd like to admit, where we become emotionally and mentally unavailable to our loved ones. I know everyone knows what this feels like. The outcomes of being mentally and emotionally not present are not usually pretty because human beings can sense when you're not available to them, especially children. So if this lack of presence gets prolonged in your life, you'll find that you're more easily triggered and you're more irritable than usual. And it gets really frustrating. But what's really happening is that it's you being frustrated with yourself that you're not fully present where you want to be. I'm going to give you 3 ways today to stop working for the weekend and be present in the now. Number 1, start your day with an intentional ritual, not just a routine. Those routines are sending you right into autopilot mode. The routines are the things that you could do in your sleep. They require very little thought and zero intention out of you. The way you start your day sets the tone for how you move through it. Instead of waking up and grabbing your phone and immediately diving into work mode, give yourself a moment. Be present. Be actively engaged in your life first thing in the morning and start to see how that actually feels different for you throughout the day. One of my executive clients used to wake up and immediately check emails, and I did the same. And he would already feel behind before he even got out of bed, just dreading what he's going to see in his inbox when he opens up his phone. And we shifted that. So now before he even touches his phone, he spends just 10 minutes in stillness without distractions, and he sets an intention for the day. That small change shifted his entire relationship with time. And this was one of my biggest game changers in my own journey. I chose to start making my own coffee every morning instead of going through what was a very transactional way of living, where I used to grab my coffee on the way to work and scroll through emails while I'm on the train or the passenger in the car that my husband was driving. And that all just felt so transactional, just one transaction after another as I'm replying to emails and taking the next sip, not being present whatsoever in my life. And instead, intentionally carving out space for myself to make my coffee and enjoy the process of crafting something that actually felt really good to me and brought me a little bit of joy because I really enjoy my coffee. That was so different for me to sit there and stare out the window at the birds or watch the snow fall and take a sip of coffee and just reflect on how I wanted my day to go was game changing. Even if you're someone who really loves going to the coffee shop to grab your coffee, fine, but be intentional. Are you present with the person that you're ordering from? Are you present with people in line? Are you present with yourself? Or are you just scrolling on your phone waiting for the coffee? Ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? Energized, focused, calm, peaceful? What do you want to feel? Start with that feeling before you just start plowing through your day, waiting for the time to be done. The second way to go about this is to reclaim your commute and make it work for you. So if you are commuting again, like most people are, realize this is your time. It doesn't belong to anyone but you. Instead of seeing it as wasted hours, which in and of itself is going to drain you and make you feel like you have no control, turn it into an opportunity for you. If you're driving, listen to a podcast that you find inspiring. Turn off work notifications and let yourself absorb something just for you. If you're on public transit, read a book that you've been meaning to get to. Bring it with you or read it on your Kindle or listen to that book. Practice mindfulness or simply just breathe instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media. If you're walking, soak in the environment. What do you hear? What do you see? What do you smell? How windy is it? What does the sun feel like on your face or the breeze feel like on your face? Use this time to mentally reset before stepping straight into your workday and just plowing through meeting after meeting, email after email. One of my clients also used to start her commute as an energy reset. So on the way into work, she listens to something she finds motivating. And on the way home, she listens to something that helps her unwind, helps her feel more relaxed. So that shift alone made her evenings feel a lot more expansive and less rushed. And ultimately, she was just a lot less frustrated. The third way to go about this, eliminate distractions and create these micro moments of focus. None of these things are about massive changes or overhaul. One of the biggest energy drains in our modern world is distraction overload. Constant notifications, emails, text messages, Slack messages. It is no wonder that we feel mentally drained before the day even ends. A quick reality check on that, though. Every time you switch tasks, check your phone, or get pulled into something unexpected, your brain actually needs time to refocus. You cannot be a multitasker. Multitasking is about switching modes of thought in the brain, not about how much you can do at one time. Yeah, I know. When I first learned that, I was mind blown too. So instead of trying to do 15 things at once and get mad at yourself when you can't do that, allow yourself to understand you need time to refocus. Therefore, don't choose to do 15 things at once. Choose one at a time and make those choices intentionally, which gives you back control, helps you feel like you control your time. The more fragmented your attention, the harder it is to feel in control of your time. And it will make you feel overwhelmed and that you have none and you're too busy when you're not in control. One of the things that I'd also like to say is that there are very simple strategies for feeling like you have more control. I know a few things that I use in my days to help me really stay focused on one thing at a time and not feel like I'm in multitasking mode trying to do 15 things. One is to mute notifications on my phone. I turned those off years ago. Only calls and text messages, because if school needs to reach me, that's how they'll find me. But nothing else gets to notify me that it's waiting for my attention. When I am ready to give my attention to a particular app, I will. And I make that choice. I am in charge of that. The second thing I'll do is I'll batch emails. Like, I don't want to have to check my email all day long. So I will spend an hour in the morning. I will spend an hour midday. I'll spend an hour later in the day. And then I may check them before I go to bed as well. But I'm not checking emails constantly. And I certainly do not have notifications on for my emails. I don't buy into that urgency factor of having to respond in 10 minutes to everything. I choose where I give my time. And another thing is to take breaks. I mean, 5 to 10-minute breaks between meetings is not only necessary, but it's very natural to our rhythms as human beings. We need to take a bathroom break. We need to get water. We need to just kind of reset and stand up and stretch or walk around a little bit before jumping into our next meeting. So look, work will always be there. It's a major part of your livelihood, and that is a good thing. Work helps you apply your intellect and your uniqueness to life. And it also allows you to be in relationships with so many different people that you otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to be in relationships with. Clients, customers, colleagues, bosses, all of those relationships matter. We are social creatures as human beings, and work gives us the opportunity to be more social than almost anything else in life. So at the same time, those deadlines, responsibilities, and meetings aren't going anywhere, and that's not going to change. But what can change is how you move through it all. If your energy is constantly scattered, if you're never fully here in your own life, you'll always feel like you're waiting for your next break. the next vacation, the next moment of relief. But you don't need to wait for that or for the weekend to feel alive. I really got to thinking about this as we drove to and from St. Louis to see my mom for her 80th birthday last weekend. To see how much she has deteriorated in the last 18 months is really, really sad. And it also really hit home that our time here on earth is limited. My mom mentioned to me before we left, she said, time moved really fast until I turned 80. Now it feels so slow. And that's because she's lonely and she feels isolated and sad and depressed that she's aging. And that is what I wanted to do this episode about. It really reminded me that living intentionally and in the present while time is moving fast is the key to feeling whole and somewhat to feeling more okay with your own inevitable aging process. So my challenge to you this week, find one way to create space for yourself every single day. Intentionally create that space. It doesn't have to be big. Just one intentional shift, whether it's how you start your day, how you commute, or how you integrate presence into your schedule or your home life in the evenings. Because when you stop working for the weekend and you start living for today, everything shifts. You are in charge. You are in control. No one else. You. If this resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And as always, I would love to hear your thoughts. So reach out and let me know what small change that you're making this week. And of course, over time, let me know what is shifting for you because you made that change. I always love to hear your stories. You can find me at erincoupe.com, Authentically EC on Instagram, or Erin Coupe on LinkedIn. And my book is moving right along. I am in the second round of edits. Pretty soon, I will have pre-orders available starting in May. Sign up to be the first to know about that at erincoupe.com/subscribe. Until next time, let's stop working for the weekend. Let's work and live in the now because that's all we really have. Remember, the meaning you seek, the answers you yearn for, they often lie within. I encourage you to follow me at erincoupe.com or Authentically EC on Instagram. Subscribe now so you don't miss a step of our journey together. Until next time, manifest great things.